The female CEO's first visit to the countryside brought her face to face with a peculiar phenomenon. The names of the shops in the small town bore a striking resemblance to her assistant, who had been by her side for 3 years. This made her suspect that this poor young man might be a hidden rich second-generation heir. However, she never dreamed that this unexpected trip to the countryside would completely change the second half of her life. Ella was a newspaper executive with an annual salary of millions. Her strong-willed image led employees to privately refer to her as the old witch. Nick, on the other hand, was an ordinary little assistant. He rushed around every day for work, not only having to stay close to Ella at all times but also having to buy her favorite coffee early every morning. Nick had been working with Ella in this environment for 3 years, during which he had hardly enjoyed any vacation. Ella was very satisfied with this always available assistant. However, as a company executive, she had to treat everyone equally. Even if the deputy editor-in-chief made a mistake, she would never tolerate it. One day, Ella made a serious error. Due to being busy with work, she forgot to submit her visa renewal application, resulting in her visa expiring. The immigration office decided to deport her. This was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue for Ella. What shocked her even more was that the shareholders decided to let the recently fired deputy editor-in-chief replace her position after she was deported. However, at this critical moment, Nick unexpectedly walked into the office. Looking at Nick in front of her, Ella had a bold idea. She actually said she was going to marry Nick. Although the leadership was quite shocked by this, they were still happy for Ella, as long as they completed the marriage registration as soon as possible. Ella could rightfully obtain a new identity and settle in the United States. Afterward, Ella called him back to the office. Although Nick was not interested in the woman in front of him, thinking about the job he had worked for 3 years, he reluctantly agreed to the arrangement. They could end the marriage relationship immediately once the legal time was over. Subsequently, the two went to the immigration office to register their marriage information. However, the investigator could see at a glance that they lacked any chemistry as a couple. He warned them that if their marriage was only for a green card, it would constitute a serious violation of the law. They could face 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000. Faced with this warning, Nick appeared unusually nervous, while Ella quickly responded, mentioning that they were planning to go to Nick's hometown over the weekend to celebrate his grandmother's 90th birthday. They would take this opportunity to inform the family of their marriage. Although their performance barely passed, the investigators still reminded them that they would be questioned separately about the details of their relationship in a week. If there were any untrue statements, they would face prison. After leaving the immigration office, Nick felt extremely unbalanced. He believed that he had taken on a huge risk and should receive more rewards, so he proposed new conditions to Ella. In addition to helping him publish a book, he also hoped that she could give him a promotion. Faced with this situation, Ella had to make concessions. She promised that as soon as she successfully obtained the green card, she would immediately promote him. Subsequently, Ella accompanied Nick to his hometown. On the plane, Ella bluntly teased Nick about his family's conditions. She even insisted that after marriage, they must live in her house because she was used to living in a mansion and could not accept living in Nick's dilapidated apartment after marriage. In the face of Ella's ridicule, Nick seemed extraordinarily calm. Upon seeing the two, Nick's mother warmly welcomed Ella. They took a car to a small town. However, a strange sight soon caught Ella's eye. The names of the stores here actually all started with Nick's surname. She curiously asked Nick why the names of these stores were all very similar to his name. However, this was just the tip of the iceberg. What was even more amazing was yet to come. Soon, they boarded a yacht, but Ella's mind was filled with doubts. As her gaze swept past a stone wall, a majestic castle came into view. Ella's speculation was finally settled. Compared to Nick, a rich second-generation heir, she was just a thorough working-class,